What's going on, everybody? This is the bare minimum. I'm Dustin Jones. Looks like I'm flying solo, at least for now. Been trying to wake Brandon up for like 10 minutes. I don't know if he's coming or not, but all that matters is that you're here. And if you want to keep the conversation going, just let me know what you want to talk about. I gotta be honest, I don't got shit, guys. I got nothing. I'm gonna bitch about my personal life, maybe, and we'll talk some bears. Whatever y'all want to do. We're going to get into all of that right now. Let's go.
Windy City banners rocking 4 stars align. Dynasty dreams rise, bulls in their prime. Cubs curse shattered, the victory divine. Fields be running, clock ticking on my timeline. Shot-town heroes, legends never fade. Black Hawks flying, cutting ice with the blade. White Sox diamonds, the Southside parade. 4 stars shine bright, legacies they made. Mike with the crown, air rain, no dispute. Sweetness in the backfield, Walter in pursuit. Bear down Sunday's midfield, battles cute. Chicago.
Bear down, everybody. This is the bare minimum. How we doing tonight? I've had a long day, a long couple of days. I mean, my daughters have been sick. We were in Minnesota and they all got sick, and then like all the kids got sick. And then there was a blizzard in Wisconsin, so we had to stay an extra day, and we were driving back, and like semis just crashed out on the side of the road the whole way. It was a lot of fun. I'm starting to get sick myself as well. I'm starting to get the thing in my throat, man. I'm trying to fight it. I'm battling. I'm hitting the sauna and like just taking the medicine. If you're here, I know some of you are here. Let me know what you want to talk about. There's not a lot going on in the world of the Bears right now. We keep, wondering what's going on with the draft. What are they going to do in the draft? How's the rest of this offseason going to play out? Where are they going to get more money from? Are they ever going to restructure any of these contracts to try to get some more money? Is this it? Are we done? I've got a lot of thoughts on like what's happened in free agency. I haven't really been able to be on here with these guys, so haven't been able to share a lot of the thoughts. So I mean, I'll talk about those things. Maybe we'll do a mock draft. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. So yeah, the Bears. The question that's been sticking in my brain with these Chicago Bears through this offseason is how the hell are they going to fix this defense? That's what I keep thinking about. That's what it keeps coming back to me. I'm not really concerned about the offense. I have uber faith in Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, and honestly, the weapons that they have, even Sands, DJ Moore. I really do. I feel good about the offense. And I feel like they'll still, potentially add some pieces, whether it's in the draft or a couple more free agency pickups. And like I feel confident in whatever it is that they do on offense. Defense, I got a lot of questions. Like I'm not feeling great about it. When you look at what they've lost in terms of what was on this defense, you start to wonder like, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Is losing Nashawn Wright, is that okay? It probably is, but the guy generated a lot of turnovers and a lot of big moments for this team. But like, are you going to have a defense that's predicated on those turnovers, or are you actually going to build a defense that can stand up to solid offenses in the NFL and just get stops, get off the field without having to generate all the turnovers? I feel like it's a bigger loss than we want to give it credit for. And when you look at that, the fact that Brisker went and signed for $5.5 million with the Steelers, Nashawn Wright $5.5 million with the Jets. These are very team friendly deals. Byard $9.5 million with the Patriots. Like, was it worth it for the Bears to spend that money on these guys and just run it back with the same old thing that we just watched it this past season? The defense wasn't good. It just wasn't. 29th worst in the league. Gave up 5 yards per carry. You could pass all over them. You could run all over them. So, I mean, like, is it addition by subtraction? I don't know. It's hard to buy into that thought process. I got to see what they're replacing these guys with because I don't feel like they've done enough. I think they clearly haven't done enough to replace the guys that they've lost. Kobe Bryant is a good pickup, good at the safety position. But who are they replacing Nashawn Wright with? Who are they replacing Jaquan Brisker with? I got to say something here real quick. It's fucking weird that I'm getting no chat or any of you in here. I got nothing. I know they had an issue on the Barely There a week ago where like the comments just weren't coming through, and I'm not seeing anything. I don't know if it's a settings thing in here, and I'm by myself, so like, how am I supposed to go check on that? I don't know. If you guys are commenting, I don't see it. I don't see shit. Let's see here. Yep, they're there. You guys are commenting. I see you. I see Dante. What's up, Dante? I see Vizzo, J2K. What the hell? Why don't I see the comments here? Help me out, guys. This is gonna be rough if it's just me talking to myself and I can't even see you guys' comments. I see them on YouTube. I just pulled it up. I see it right here. I got nothing here. This is like the worst possible thing that could happen. J2K says, I'm just going to read it from YouTube, guys. We've signed 3 defensive tackles this offseason. I looked up the contracts. Both Street and Lynch can be cut after the draft. I think Poles is making sure he goes best player available, but defensive tackle is still a real option. Yeah, the defensive tackle signings aren't necessarily like anything to write home about, right? Like this Lynch guy is a rotational piece at best. Neville Gallimore, I just don't. The signing, I don't like it. I don't like the way it feels. I don't foresee him being an impact player on this defensive line. I hope I'm wrong, but it just feels like another one of those signings where you could have done something different and come away with something a little better. But yeah, I mean, the fact that they can get out of all those contracts, that's good, I guess. But it seems like they've addressed the defensive tackle to the point where they have to address edge in the draft. John S checking in. What's up, dude? Guys, I don't know why I can't see the chats in here. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I'm just gonna keep reading them from YouTube. I can't show your chats, but I will shout you out. The defensive line is still an issue, right? Because of how much money you've put into it and how little you're getting out of it. It's a big problem. And then like the signings that they're making, like these are signings that are showing that like they've already got so much money invested, like they can't do much there. So the draft is going to be huge. And I guess the question then becomes is like, is Poles going to be able to draft the defensive players that we need to turn this thing around? When you start to look back at his draft picks as a general manager on the defensive side of the ball, it's not good. It's just not. You haven't really drafted anyone that's impacted your defense. Kyler Gordon, he stands out. Jaquan Brisker just left. They didn't want to re-sign him for $5.5 million. No second contract. Is Javon Dexter going to get a second contract? That's not looking great right now. He's not turned into the player that they drafted him to be. Pickens was a giant bust in that 3rd round. Tyreek Stevenson, the jury's still out on him. I love Tyreek. I'm hoping that it's looking like he's going to be your starting cornerback opposite Jalen Johnson. So, like, what's he going to do? Is he going to show up and show out and earn a second contract? Poles hasn't drafted defensive players particularly well, and that's concerning when you're going into a draft where that's something you really need to do. J2K throwing out another one here. He says, I love the Jack Sanborn signing. Guys, you like how I'm figuring this out? I'm just going to read it straight off of YouTube. I love the Jack Sanborn signing, but it feels odd. I thought Poles wanted to add speed. How sure are we that Sanborn makes this team, or is he a special teams add for a Hightower? Special teams makes sense to me. When I saw the signing, I was just like, it's. I don't feel good about it. I don't feel bad about it. He's a guy that you just let walk last year, and a lot of Bears fans were upset that they did. And then he went to Dallas, and he didn't really stand out. He had the opportunities, he didn't really do shit. Definitely not bringing speed to this defense. So the special teams thing does make sense. I don't know. It doesn't move the needle for me in any way. I don't particularly care that they re-signed and brought back Jack Sanborn. I think when you start to look at though what the Bears are doing, they are being smart about how they're approaching special teams. So I like the special teams comment there, and I like I like what Sanborn will bring to that. I like the Daniel Hardy re-signing, the Khalif Raymond signing. I mean, they spent as much on him as the Jets spent on Nashawn Wright, as the Steelers spent on Jaquan Brisker. Basically, the Bears. So this guy is not only going to be your kick returner, but he's going to be in your receiver rotation for the money that they paid him. So I mean, I think that they've approached this offseason like trying to get better around the fringes. And it makes sense. I went into this offseason really thinking like they got to go all in this offseason. They got to do everything they can to move money around and add as much to this team as possible because like right now your window is open, Caleb, on this rookie contract. So I've been a little disappointed in that regard. You see that Pulse and J2K pointed out a couple weeks ago, Poles don't restructure contracts, and he's not doing it this year. So like the money is just not there. It's not, and it's because you've sunk cost in some bad players already up to this point, and you got to wait for their money to clear out to really make a move. And it seems like Poles is playing that waiting game, and they're just going to bank on their coaching and their ability to identify talent in the draft to really improve this team. Mind of Murdoch. I've never seen you before, my man. And again, guys, if you're just checking in, I'm sorry I can't show. My chats are not showing up here. The best thing I could do is log out and log back in, and hopefully this works. But then, like, there's no show, so I can't do that. But Mind of Murdoch, I've never seen you before. If you've been in here before, I apologize, but I'm gonna give you the clap. I like this comment. He says Sanborn signing was buns. We can do so much more. It feels like Poles is not good at making players want to play here. Well, you can't make players want to play there, but you should show that. Like that's going to come down to Ben Johnson, I think, more so. The coaching staff. But like, I just think there's only so much they can do with the amount of money they have to work with. They're really trying to just build around the core that they already have. I wanted some more, I wanted some more talent added to this team than what they've done in this offseason. So I'm with you there, Mind of Murdoch. But it just seems like they feel really tight against that cap and they don't want to move money down the road. And, you see teams might pay for that when they do that if it doesn't work out. But you also see teams that are competitive that do that consistently. And, eventually you pay the bill, but they keep that window open for long enough. You have to be worth the resigning, and not many players have been worth it by letting them look for trades. Said you followed me a while back. What's up, Mind of Murdoch? Appreciate you for joining us. Hit that like button if you haven't already. J2K says everyone is saying Bradbury's a stopgap center. With all the needs we have, maybe we re-sign Bradbury for another year and kick the center can down the road. I'd still draft a late round center. I know you mentioned Slaughter. I like Logan Jones. I think there are some centers that you can get that have starting potential in the mid to late round. So I'm with you there. And I like the Bradbury trade. I like the move. I've said it before. I mean, like for them to get that type of starting center and the position they were in, with the money position they were in, and just having very little notice that they were going to be without their, Pro Bowl center going forward, I thought that they did a damn good job filling that spot with a competent starter that I think will fit this offense really well. Very athletic center. I keep going back to that because like that's what stands out to me the most. And when you plug him in between the two guards that he's playing in between, I don't think the Bears are going to miss a beat there on that interior, that offensive line. The left tackle is still the concern, right? So I mean, whether do they re-sign him? If he plays well, why not? But if he plays too well, you're gonna have the money to do it. I don't know. I like the signing. I like the trade though. I like him in that spot. I think it's gonna work out really well. Honestly, I do. Poles really wants his picks to work because picks are GM stat. He's been a 6 out of 10 at best. Listen, polls can be judged, and that's from Mind of Murdoch, guys. Sorry, I gotta keep just reading these from YouTube. I've said this about polls before, and this is how I legitimately feel about him. I've never seen a guy get more credit for fixing mistakes that he made than Ryan Poles. Fucking Brandon's calling me right now. But, dude, just get on here. If you're gonna get on here, get on here. If you're not, don't. I can't answer the phone. I'm live to our show. What's up, True Pilgrim? Thanks for checking in, man. Again, True. Everyone, as you check in, I'll just keep letting you know. I don't see the comments here on StreamYard. Some bullshit's happening. I'm just checking. I'm just checking in on YouTube and I'm reading you guys there. So I appreciate you being here, True. Love you. Ryan Poles gets more credit for fixing mistakes that he made than anybody I've seen, especially in the Chicago, sports scene for sure. Like he'll make mistakes and then he'll turn around and fix it, and then he'll get way more credit for fixing that mistake that he made than he gets blamed for making the mistake in the first place. So that's something that's always been weird to me when it comes to Ryan Poles. He's like, I don't know, he's like grandfathered in. He gets a lot of leeway with a lot of fans. I've been very critical of him in the past. I think he's onto something though. Mind of Murdoch. I will say that. I think he's onto something. I think with the coaching that he's brought to this city and the players that he's starting to add and the ability to have some help with personnel decisions, especially in the draft from coaches that actually know what the fuck they're doing, that's invaluable to a GM like Ryan Poles. And he didn't have that and he was very young. So like I try to give him some leeway, but at the same time, you got to hold him accountable. It's his job to, he's a professional NFL team GM, and your job is to put, wins together. So we're coming off a season in which that happened, in which this team won games, got to the playoffs, made some noise in the playoffs, which not a lot of us expected going into that season. So like, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt right now. I mean, the way to pull a second round pick out of DJ Moore, I thought was spectacular. Again, to make chicken salad out of the chicken shit that was the Drew Dalman situation with this Bradbury trade, I thought that was a very savvy move. I just think he's not a guy that wants to kick the money can down the road. I think he's eating his mistakes, and he's going to count on his coaching to help pull him out of this. Brandon, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Not much, brother. I'm not able to see the comments in StreamYard. They're just not showing up. I'm pulling them off of YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
This
there's nothing there.
too much credit for doing the obvious, drafting Caleb, hiring Ben. It might have been obvious to hire Ben, but it wasn't easy. I can tell you that. It wasn't like that was a fait accompli that Ben was going to choose Chicago. Ben could have chosen wherever he wanted. He chose Chicago because Ryan Poles made it appealing in a way. So you have to give him some credit for that. Like it feels obvious to do that for sure, but at the same time, you got to make him want to sign the contract and come here. So I'll give Poles credit for that. And Poles, really fixed the interior of this offensive line and made some great moves this past offseason. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but the main thing that me and Brandon have been talking about, and I keep getting stuck on, as I was saying, is how are they going to improve this defense in one offseason the way they improved this offense last offseason? That's what I keep thinking about. And are they capable of doing it? Is Dennis Allen the guy to help Poles do that? Is Poles the guy that can identify defensive talent? Because I just haven't seen it. It's been few and far between with Ryan Poles since he's been the GM of the Chicago Bears. That's my biggest concern. Are you seeing chats on StreamYard, Brandon?
No.
No, I'm not sure what it is. So all I'm doing is pulling them off of YouTube. I'm chewing on a cough drop. I'm sick, man. I'm getting a thing going. Both my daughters, the flu, man. Mila's been feeling it these last couple of days. She's not really sleeping, but now I'm starting to feel it in my throat.
Because just passing something back and forth.
It's ridiculous, dude. It's fucking ridiculous. I work so hard to not get sick, but when you got these kids, man, and they just bring something home, and you try so hard to keep them separated, but it's life. It's hard. J2K says StreamYard sucks. Might be time to check OBS. It's free, but it's not as simple as StreamYard. It's free. OBS. I like free. FREE. OBS. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm gonna write it down right now. J2K. Brandon, I was making it clear to these guys that I didn't have shit. I'm just trying to go off of them. In the first 10 minutes, I had no comments coming through, so I was just like pissing in the wind. How you feeling, man? You oversleep a little bit?
No, I fell asleep like 11, dude.
Oh.
Over awake a little bit.
Mm.
Going from 5 this morning to 11 o'clock. I almost made it.
Well, it's all good. OBS is
Oh,
king, fellas. Okay, I got another OBS. Look, guys, I wrote it down. I'm gonna look into it because yeah, we've been having a lot of issues with the StreamYard shit, and this is bothering me that your comments are not. Look at I did that too. It just doesn't show up. So I don't know.
hmm.
It's frustrating. Next time you don't have much, hit me up. Sean has my info. J2K, appreciate you. Listen, well, I mean, we'll do whatever y'all want to do. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Mind of Murdoch says Max was worth a first round pick, and DJ Moore, which was like trading a first and a second in my mind. I mean, DJ Moore, again, the fact that they got a second back for him is kind of amazing. I don't know if he was worth as much as Bears fans think he was worth, with that contract. Brandon, how do we get on track here?
How do we get on track?
Yeah.
You mean from the Bears' perspective?
Yeah, with this Bears defense, how do we get back on track? I mean, I look at what we've lost, and we haven't done enough to replace what we've lost. And a lot of people will tell me, well, what we've lost was shitty already. So what difference does it make? It makes a difference when you don't know what you're really replacing it with yet, to me.
Yeah.
So like, how are they going to replace these guys? And do you trust them to do it in the draft? Do you trust them to do it in the remainder of free agency? Do you think anything else is even happening in free agency?
No, I said last Monday, just some bargain signings at depth on the defensive side of football. They've made two of those. A lot of people keep talking about Sanborn and his impact on this. Sanborn's not playing on this defense.
I hope not. Fucking hope
He's
not.
Sanborn's
He's
not
not
fast
that
enough.
good.
You just
He's not that good
contradicted
either.
everything you did. You wanted to make this defense faster. You're not doing that, putting Jack Sanborn on the field. He is, however, a solid special teams player. That's why I believe he's here.
That's what we talked about that a little bit. They threw that out in the chat, and I comment. The Bears have addressed special teams in this offseason in a solid way. I've liked what they've done
Hardy
in that
and
regard.
Sanborn are really quality special teams players.
And Khalif Raymond.
But if people
as your return man.
Yeah, for sure. And Raymond, he doesn't have the same return average as Duvernay, but he's got a lot more speed, so the ability to break more. But the way I'm looking at this defense, Dustin, and how they repair it is where do they start? And it's to me, I just keep falling back to the same place, man. A lot of people disagree with me because the most obvious place to look is the defensive line, the defensive front, and the pass rush, and the ability to stop the run. A strong side safety's got a lot to do with stopping the run, guys, and that's where you have the least invested. To me, it's just safety, safety, safety. That's all I see. You have the least invested at this position. You have nobody you've drafted at the position on your football team. You have nobody besides Bryant really at the position at all. You paid Hicks to come back for $2 million.
That's another special teams move.
Yeah. And you've got all this money in the defensive line. So even if, that is a place you want to invest, Ryan Poles has put a lot there already. The linebacker thing was something he clearly wanted to address in free agency. That was
which is what I wanted too. So I'm happy with that. The Devin Bush signing, the DeMarco Jackson re-signing, love both of those moves. Love
that's something I encouraged, man. I thought this was the best position in free agency, and he exploited that. And he let a guy who was here already that's played for Dennis Allen for two different football teams come back here and give him a starting opportunity, which I think he's going to have. The safety, man, you signed Bryant, and you got nothing else there. I mean, this has to be. I keep saying this, Dustin. I would, by addressing this defense, my first move would be getting that other starter alongside Kobe Bryant. That's the best place to start.
But that's going to come down to how the board falls. Like if those top three guys are most likely going to be gone at 25,
that's
so
what
then you're not
you're
reaching
looking
for
at. Is McNeil, Warren, is Thieneman?
Does McNeil Warren fall to 25? If he does, I think you take him, and then you play Kobe Bryant at strong safety, and you put McNeil Warren at free safety.
Absolutely, that's the beauty of signing a guy like Kobe Bryant. Yeah, as the guy's played at both positions.
So, like, there's still pieces that need to come together here, but I am not seeing the picture yet, and it's making me a little nervous, man. Because again, you just look back at what Poles has done on the defensive side of the ball. He's overinvested big money into guys that have been bust in free agency. He's not really drafted well. He's got one defensive player that he's, signed another second contract, and Kyler Gordon that he drafted. I I have concerns about, can they address this. I have a lot more faith in Ben Johnson picking that off. I had a uber faith in Ben Johnson when he picked Colston Loveland. I knew Luther Burden was going to be a stud. Like if they pick Zion Young at 25 in this draft, are you feeling good about that?
No.
Because I mean, Minor Murdoch just brought him up. People are high on him, but like I saw him mocked at 25 to the Bears, I think by Mel Kiper, right? And it's like, I don't know. I don't feel good about that. I don't. I don't.
No,
I don't
nor
like
do
the
I.
way that feels.
And I don't think Zion Young's a bad football player. I think I'd even go as far to say he'll be a good NFL player. Not what this Bears team is lacking the most from that position specifically. I thought, Montez Sweat has been a pretty good run defender throughout his career. Austin Booker is obviously developing into a better one. That's what Zion Young is, man.
He's
He's
really good at setting the edge. He's a
yeah,
strong rusher. I mean, he's gotten hurries throughout his college career,
he
and he's
just
put
really
put up
has
some
one
sack
one
numbers.
move. He's a
Yeah,
one move man, and I don't. In the NFL, it's a lot tougher for those guys than in college to get home. And like I said, I think Zion Young could be a replica of Montez Sweat. But
Mind the Murdoch says he doesn't want Zion at
Yeah,
25. I don't either.
Montez Sweat is still missing something. He's not providing something this team needs very much, and I don't think Zion Young's going to help you get there.
Yeah, no, you need a speed rusher, a guy that will, potentially draw a double team, a guy that and like you
And
generally
wins
don't get
anyway.
those and you generally don't get those guys in the draft at 25.
No, you don't. We
You can
talked
get them
about
at
that,
number
Dustin.
1. You can
Yeah,
get them at number 1 in the draft.
yeah.
And that even takes a year or two to develop, Brandon. You don't get that right away. So it keeps coming back to me. If you're gonna approach this draft the way I think would be the smartest way, you brought up the safety thing, and I'm on board with that. If Thieneman is there at 25 or McNeil Warren, I'm jumping all over it. But I think those guys are going to be gone, and I think you got to hope a guy like Peter Woods is still there at 25 and really address
Yeah, there's
that interior pass rush, a guy that can kind of pull everything and make that pressure from the middle to where you're opening it up. We've talked about this repeatedly, man.
yeah,
Like,
the
open
pocket.
it up for your edge rushers on the
Yeah,
outside by collapsing that pocket. It makes a huge difference on the defense. And the Bears on this roster right now, as much as they've already went and they signed the Lynch guy and they signed Gallimore, and we've talked about the 3 defensive tackles J2K brought up earlier, but it's like none of those guys are moving the fucking needle. Javon Dexter isn't moving the needle. So, like, you still kind of need that guy. And do you draft that guy at 25 if he's there? And do you think that guy's there? Do you think that guy is Peter Woods? I don't know.
yeah. It's tough because the Bears, for the first time in maybe 3 years here, I think, Dustin, the Bears are in a position where you're out of the range of blue chip by most measures. Obviously these guys sneak through the cracks and you hit late and you get lucky on some of these guys. But I don't know where the talent falls off, but it's not 25. It's like 12. And then from there to like 50, you
It's
get a
it's
pretty
all
a pretty
it's all
similar
pretty
pool.
clumped up
Yeah.
together. Yeah,
Which does give you a little flexibility. Like, is the name, it's just going to come down to the name that's on Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen's board if they're going to attack, and Ben Johnson too. That's another thing, guys. If at 25 they don't think any of these guys on the defensive side of football are better than somebody who's on offense, that's where they're going to draft the. Ryan Poles has already
well, they're gonna
shown you
go
his
best player
cards.
available.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah,
what Poles is going
always.
to
And
do.
and you want them to, Brandon.
Yeah, because we talked about it. You're boxing yourself in when you're like, this is the position we need. That's not the way you view a first round pick. But at 25, it does give you a little bit of freedom to not be. I mean, the to not you're not required to select a guy because he's still there. You know what I mean? Because you're probably not going to have any of those guys.
Unless one of those guys falls. Let me get to some comments because they're coming through here. Mida Murdoch said he doesn't want Zion at 25. He also said we need defensive tackle first with 25, then with second pick, either center or safety. True Pilgrim says Zion Young is very similar to Verse. He's a straight bull rush power guy. Minor Murdoch says Caleb Banks has dropped a lot. If he's there, maybe, or Peter Woods. I've seen Banks fall into the second round. I've seen Banks fall into the 30s in terms of people's just top 50 rankings. It's not doing great. And then True says, unless it's Downs or Thieneman, I'm not taking a safety at 25. Yeah, Thieneman would be the dream. It's looking more and more like he's going to be gone by the time the Vikings pick. I think that's at 18 or 19, right? Minor Murdoch says Banks, Woods, or Hunter would be amazing. Lee Hunter, you like him too. I mean, yeah, he's kind of flown under the radar this whole time. Didn't have the best combine, but like he still seems like he's a guy that should go in those top 30, top 35. And yeah, he could be a good player. I agree with you there. And then J2K says defensive tackle, defensive end, and cornerback are just too valuable for me to draft a safety at 25. I mean, cornerback at 25, that's interesting. There are some guys. Avion Terrell could be there. I mean, there are some guys there that could provide the most value. That's interesting. And then Minor Murdoch doesn't think we got killed deep at safety. He said we got killed in the middle and on the D line. And Vizzo says Messidor at 25 or pass due to age. Here, the thing with that is, for me, Messidor I think is going to be gone by the time the Bears pick at 25. His age is a bit of a concern, but not enough to where you wouldn't take him. I think he could be a valuable addition to any defensive line, Brandon. I'll tell you who my guy is at 25. If he falls there, I think the Bears got to run to turn in the card. It's Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. I think True Pilgrim said earlier, Zion Young is like Jared Verse. I think Falk is the Jared Verse of this draft. Like he's going to be the best true defensive end drafted in this draft, in my mind. And if he falls to 25, he's my number one guy with a bullet, Brandon. True Pilgrim says Messidor's age is disqualifying for me. Yeah, and then Murdoch talks about Texas Tech was the school of demons this past 2 seasons on defense with David Bailey, top 4. Yeah, David Bailey had an awesome combine too. Yeah, the Bears got no shot at him for sure. But Hunter's a good player. I like him. You wonder if he could be available in the second round. Brandon, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What do you think of Keldrick Falk? Do you think that would be worth a pick at 25 if he was there?
I like him. Yeah, I would if obviously, absolutely.
You're breaking up a little bit there, boss. The show is just a nightmare. Oh man. True Pilgrim says Falk is too much of a tweener for me, physically and positionally. I mean, he's got the size and he's got the ability. I think, and he's still young. I mean, he's gonna be 21, I believe. So I mean, there's something to tap into there. If he can add a little more tools to his tool belt in terms of his pass rushing, I think this guy could be special. I look at him and I see like a true defensive end, 4-3 defensive end. Like that's what I see. And I'd be all over him if he was there at 25. J2K. I gotta disagree with you. And then Minor Murdoch says Falk looked all stiff for me during the combine. So pro day is the show for me. Dante, bear down. I think it's best player available, Brandon. And I don't think there's any position that you have to feel like you have to get a 25. But for me, I'm with you on the safety, and people in the chat don't seem to be agreeing. But if you can get a starting safety, I think Emmanuel McNeil Warren is an immediate upgrade over Jaquan Brisker and Byard. Honestly, I think the same of Thieneman. I know Downs isn't going to be there. I know you guys talked about that on Monday. I know he's got the injury concerns, but he's a top 5-6 player in this draft. There's no way he's fallen to that. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to be an option. I don't know that any of these safeties are going to be available to you, Brandon, at 25. I really don't think so. And I don't think there's another one that can jump into the first round either.
No, I think this way. Anyone who's mocking lately has got McNeil Warren going there because if he's there, the Bears will take him. Dustin, do me a favor. Hover your mouse over the eye, the views.
Why?
It's still showing this show is private on YouTube.
No, I got it on YouTube. Or is it, what am I looking at here? I'm looking at 16. 16 on YouTube,
on YouTube?
six on X, one on whatever the hell this thing is. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I mean,
It's obviously allowing people to leave chats. If they're coming in
yeah,
on it.
yeah, I'm looking at them on YouTube. I don't know, man.
Sorry about this, guys. It sucks. I'd like to be able to display your chats.
Let me just go check on something and I'll be right back. I'll see if I
Uh,
can. Let me just hold it down for a second.
yeah, yeah. I said, guys, after the signing of Kobe Bryant, when they didn't decided not to address the other starting safety position, and you've already got so much money invested in the defensive line, regardless of whether or not you've signed the right players, you do have a lot there financially, and you've also added a lot to the roster, and you got to wonder how many more guys are even going to consider putting on the defensive line. You probably think one more edge and maybe two more tackles, but the safety position is just so thin, and not only at the starting position, but at depth as well. You brought Hicks back, special team signing. No, they signed somebody I can't remember his name. They signed somebody in free agency who's also very much a depth signing. Oh, I see that if I were in the Bears war room, I would imagine that safety is the position that they're prioritizing the most over the defensive line, and a lot of Bears fans have had some quarrel with that. But I really do believe that to be the case. I just don't see how if one of those guys that they consider to be a top talent at the position is there, that they pass on it, even if you've got defensive linemen on the board that you like. I guess what I'm saying is the Bears will choose safety over the defensive line, over pass rush, over just positionally, those safety will be their priority. And again, like I said, if it is a strong safety who they have on the board that they like at that position, you are affecting your run defense just the same as if you're signing a defensive tackle as well. So, um, I really see that's where Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen are drawing it up right now. And I wouldn't be upset if they don't go defensive line with their 25th pick, because, like I said, I think once you get past that, that blue chip talent, where I think somebody wrote last year before the draft that you typically find about 8 to 12 players that you consider blue chip in each draft. And I'm sure it can range a little bit, but probably not too much further past 15. And I don't think there's 15 blue chip players in this draft. I think if the pool is kind of even, once you're at this once you're picking with this 25th pick, you're probably gonna take the position of need is going to become a little more important, I think, than if you're picking top 10, where it's like, you're able to take a tight end when you've got a guy like Cole Kmet making $10 million a year. You have that talent on the board that's going to impact your team immediately. You have the talent that outweighs the position at 25. When the playing field becomes a little more level, does position of need become a little more important than talent, as opposed to a top 10 pick?
I got nothing, man. Everything looks good.
Yes, it's
It's
strange,
set
man.
to
It
public.
sucks.
Yep. Just gonna have to keep rolling with them off the YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
I'll keep identifying them and go from there, man.
Gotta
So what were you
love
talking about, Brandon?
paying a service that doesn't work. Oh, I was just getting back to, is it at 25, like I said, once you've passed the blue chip talent, does it make it a little more acceptable to draft a position of need? You know what I mean? When the blue chip's not there anymore, is is it is it a little more enticing to focus on the position of the player versus the talent of the player?
I guess it could be if these guys are like neck and if you got five guys that are neck and neck in terms of where you evaluate them and where you rank them, I think then you go to your position of need. I think
Which I
that's
think the
kind of
Bears
what you
could,
have to do.
the 25, that's a position they might find themselves in.
Yeah,
So, like I said, it's ironically almost more flexibility, because you don't really have the luxury of taking the guy that shouldn't be there anymore. So, and all the names we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, Dustin, don't see a lot of them there at 25. Woods is the guy who you consistently see falling into the mid 20s.
Caden McDonald, you're seeing him start to fall into the second round. I
Second
mean, he's
round,
a
yeah.
guy that I would fucking love at 25, honestly. I think he's exactly what the Bears need. But then when you look at what they've done in free agency, Brandon, it just it doesn't make sense to me that they go draft a tackle at 25 with what they've already done and what they already had on this roster. It doesn't make sense to me. So
No,
I'm really in this state of like having no fucking idea what the Bears are going to do and what they can do to fix this defense with what they've done so far in this offseason. It hasn't it's not adding up to me yet, and I'm really just waiting to see how these pieces fall together to evaluate it. Like, but me as a Bears fan right now, and I saw Mina Murdoch throw it out. Like the Bears are taking a hit in this offseason, and it's like the exact opposite of the kind of offseason I wanted to see after the season they just had, man. I'm feeling like we're starting to more questions are starting to add up than answers up to this point, man. And that's just a little disconcerting, I guess.
yeah, and you got to. I mean, this is you got to hope that see where
What's
Ben
up,
Johnson,
Scottish?
and this is, I guess, we can open it up here. Dustin is Dennis Allen. You know, Ben Johnson was able to look past the media draw and identify a player in Colston Loveland that looks like he might be the best player at that, even better than Tower Warren, as far as I'm concerned, at the position in the draft. Can Dennis Allen see that? If let's say McNeil Warren's gone, Banks is gone, Thienemann's gone, does Dennis Allen see a
This is
safety?
the piece that I need to
Does
get fit into my
well,
defense to
yeah. Does he
really,
see right? Does he see a
take it to the
safety?
next level.
Does he see a safety remaining on the board where he's like, those other three weren't all that valuable to me, anyways. This guy is what I need,
And we
and
can get that guy in the second round or the
yeah,
third round.
and can
Yeah.
he hit on those guys the same at the same rate that Ben Johnson did? Probably not. That would be
I don't
remarkable.
have the confidence in
No,
it, Brandon,
because
that I
you
do with
drafted
Ben
four
Johnson. No.
outside of Monangai, who was a spellback. You drafted three quality starters in Loveland, Burden, and Trapillo. So
And
I don't.
Monungai showed himself to be a quality starter when he got the
Yeah,
start,
when he
you
plugged
know?
in, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't see them having that success, Dustin. I don't think this defense can be fixed through the draft.
So then I guess I'm seeing, J2K is talking about it. Bizzo talked about it. The cornerbacks that are currently on this roster. Do you feel good about Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith coming off that injury, and then Zay Frazier, who was a complete scratch his rookie season? Do you feel good enough about those guys to where cornerback isn't an option at 25 for you? Like, could you see the Bears
When
going
they
cornerback at
when they
25, or do
re
you feel comfortable? Do you think Zay Frazier is going to step up this year and become? Because when he was drafted, we're like, this guy's got the size, he's got the ball hawking abilities. Like, this guy could be a big piece of this defense. Do you think he's going to turn into that, or is that gone?
But they did re-sign Jalen Jones, who was also coming off an injury. So no, I don't
Yeah, that's
think
the that
I
was
don't
another
feel
like
I don't feel
okay.
don't feel super comfortable with the corner position. No,
Could you
Kyle
see the
has.
Bears going cornerback at 25? Would you do it?
If you think that there's a guy out there who does stand out above the rest when it comes to where the talent pool lies in that late first round, early second round, yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this, guys, in a text between me, Dustin, and Sean, and I don't know that the Bears fan base is in agreement with me because this is not my opinion personally of the player himself. The Bears don't like Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, I disagree with you on that, Brent. I
I,
disagree with
I,
you on that.
I
I think
don't
you
see
saw
it,
Tyreek Stevenson get plugged in some crucial moments at the end of the season and really come up big, and they counted on him. They relied on him in that Packers game and in that Rams game.
yeah, but
They
didn't that
did.
take an injury to C.J. Gardner Johnson?
No, it was
Didn't
he
they
wasn't.
just wasn't that a wasn't is it, weren't they victim of circumstance when we started to see Tyreek Stevenson
No,
more?
I mean I think going into those games, it was clear to me and a lot of other Bears fans that Tyreek brought something to the field that you needed on the field, and that's that dog mentality, and he's going to battle on every single snap, and I I still have faith in Tyree Stevenson personally, and I don't think the Bears are as out on him as you feel. No, I think right now he's in line to be your starter, and I don't feel terrible about that. I mean, we've seen him give
I
up some big
It's
plays,
hard for
but
me
you
to
see him
believe
battle on them too.
that the Bears open their eyes to something. Like when I saw
The chat don't like Stevenson. Murdoch says he gets burned.
when the
JK
return of
says he was a healthy scratch and lost his job to a practice squad
well,
player. I
right,
mean, yeah,
regardless of
that's what
exactly,
happened.
that's the thing. Regardless of whether or not you like Tyreek, when Jalen Johnson came back to start and they decided to go with Nashawn Wright over Stevenson, that spoke volumes to me of how they feel about Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, and
And
then they let Nashawn Wright walk, and you're left with just Stevenson here.
yeah, and
So it's like,
you've
have you painted yourself into a corner that you don't want to be in?
two regimes have benched this guy. Eberflus and Ben Johnson's staff have both benched this player. And then Al Harris had him attend some sort of character camp over the off season, and he still got benched. And it's and I wouldn't even say Dustin. If I were to try to back the claim that the Bears don't love this player all that much, I wouldn't even tell you that it's strictly based on performance. I think there's something more to it. I think they just don't like the kid all that much. I really, I, if I had to bet money today, Dustin, he is not receiving another contract on this football team.
Well, if you had to bet money right now, who's the starting cornerback opposite Jalen Johnson on the other side?
Well, I read this, and this was one of those, meta things. So AI, Facebook throwing their AI answers out there. I hate it when I read this stuff and there's no name behind it. But as far as I read, Zay Frazier was told when he reported that he was healthy again after a cleared medical that he would compete for any job on this defense, which to me implies that they're telling him the door's not
What, defensive
closed.
tackle? Is he going to compete for
What?
defensive
No, I mean, and the
tackle?
second, like they're basically telling him the door's not closed for you to be a starter on this
Well,
defense.
I would hope so, and that's you got to keep him fighting. But like right now, they're not giving him. He's not earning the job over Tyreek. And True Pilgrim throws out, nah, I love Stevenson. He's a dog. That's how I feel, man. I think Stevenson is your best option at the cornerback position right now. I hope Zay Frazier turns into what the Bears drafted him to be. Al Harris liked him a lot, and he's going to work with him hard as long as Zay Frazier wants to do the work. We still don't know what he was out for. So like what I don't know. Has he
Yeah,
endeared himself
it's
to this Bears coaching staff? I
and
don't think so. He's
and
going
the
to have to
Bears
do
man.
that.
How do the
Terrell
Bears
Smith
manage?
coming off the injury. There's just too many questions at the cornerback position, man. There's too
How do the
many.
Bears manage this? They're the only team that can conceal something like this. The media finds these things, man. Somebody inside the organization speaks to somebody. I cannot believe that Zay Frazier's personal situation never made its way to the spotlight. It's just remarkable to me
I
how
think that's a good
internally
thing, though. That's a
it's
good
well it's
thing.
it speaks volumes to the Bears organization
Yeah.
because they obviously keep things tight because I've never seen this before. I've never seen anything listed as personal that didn't eventually make its way out. Never. So I'm still very curious to know what the hell that was about, and if it's something that impacts Zay Frazier in the future.
Yeah,
That's
that's the
what sucks
concerning
about
part
not
for
knowing
sure.
it. It's like, is it really is it under the carpet or is it gone and done with? I don't
I
know.
guess I'll answer my own question that I asked you because I don't know that you ever really answered it. I feel a decent amount of comfort level at the cornerback position with Tyree Stevenson. I still have some faith that Zay Frazier can turn into that guy in the NFL. I like his size. I like his speed. He was able to turn the ball over in college, and and Al Harris is still here, so that's a huge deal, right? Because now, like that's the reason they drafted the kid in the first place,
And
and now that's
this
his pet
position's
project this year. So
this is Dennis Allen's position, man. This is what he cares about the most.
Yeah. So I mean, he's gonna get a lot of attention. He's gonna get a lot of coaching, and I think he might turn into something. And I think we might see it sooner rather than later in this season. And Terrell Smith, I think we all like him. It's just, is he gonna come back healthy and ready to compete? There are a lot of questions, and Scottish says he would expect that the Bears are going to draft a cornerback early, and he would book that. The more you start to talk about what we're talking about right now, Brandon, the more realistic that seems. Like, because you haven't seen a single mock where the Bears are taking a cornerback in the first 3 rounds. I haven't seen one. But like that might end up being where they go when it comes down to, you don't see the defensive lineman that'll make the impact at 25, and the safeties are all gone. Cornerback, you got some question marks. You
Yeah,
might be
and
able to sure that up and get the best value at that pick 25.
and it's hard to do what these guys do with these mock drafts, man. But it's very apparent to me they're not. they're not mocking based on the way the reputation Poles has had and how he's operated during drafts. Because as soon as they didn't get Brisker or Byard back, now you see these mock drafts with safety when all you saw was defensive tackle. They are clearly just putting the position of need at the forefront when they're doing these mock drafts. And I finally saw a guy, Dustin, who mocked a wide receiver in the first round to the Bears, and that felt more in tune with Ryan Poles to me than any mock draft I've seen because
That
he
was
was
Omar
simply
Cooper, right?
he was simply the best player. He
Yeah.
was
Which
in that
which
mock
polls
draft.
will do that. Polls
Yeah,
will do that. And I'd
it,
feel
it,
good about it. I would be happy because I fucking love Omar Cooper Jr. I think he's the best receiver in this draft. If the Bears got him at 25, that would be awesome
yeah,
to me.
and I
But
don't
then
put
but
it
then
past
you're
them. I
yeah,
don't.
no, I don't either. But then you're looking at we just had one comment come through and it's a spam one. What the fuck? But then you're looking
Maybe
at like if you
StreamYard was
work
helping us try to filter those by just removing all of them. That's what we'll say.
it's like AI was just like they're all gone.
Yeah,
Did we get
there's
like
one bot in
spammed?
here.
Yeah,
Get,
just
get rid
keeping
of the
everyone from
algorithm
showing up.
failed.
Yeah. So but if you do draft that receiver, you're looking at like other positions that like when the Bears drafted Roma Dunze, I did have some immediate regret that it wasn't Jared Verse. And like I like Roma Dunze and I began to talk myself into him and like I still I'm with this kid and I think he's gonna be a damn good receiver, but I still keep going back to that should have been Jared Verse. And if it would have been, your team is in a much different place right
Well,
now in terms of those needs than than
and
where it
that's
currently
the
actually
position.
is.
I know this position that Sean wants drafted most importantly, I guess, on this defense, I'd say, but that's the position I think they have last. I'll be honest, Dustin. Both tackle positions and safety are above edge to me. If I'm Ryan Poles, Dennis Allen, Ben Johnson, if I'm in that war room, I'll bet you that they have those guys. They have their list of edges that they like, but I'll bet you they're below their tackles and safeties. I would almost bet you on that. And
Well,
I think that, and I
that's a
think
hefty
Austin,
statement to make without really knowing. I mean,
I think
what's the
Austin
reasoning
Booker's
behind that?
because I think they have a lot of faith in Booker. I think they should. Because if you, like I said, I forget who it was, man. I think it was just Chicago Sports Network.
No, hold on real quick. Mind of Murdoch, we didn't miss out on Verse. We chose Roma Dunze at 9. Verse didn't get drafted till 15 to the
Yeah.
Rams.
Yep.
It was he wasn't picked before
And I think me and you
Michael
during
Penix
we
was
were
picked right before Rome.
we were in Indiana doing, work
Yeah,
for that other
yeah,
podcast, and I think we looked at each other like, this is verse.
yep.
And it
That's
was
that's what I
Rome.
was expecting the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting the entire time, and it
And
just or did he go? He went. He might have went 19 or 15. Might have been the defensive end that went to the Colts. I think he was the first defensive player drafted in that draft. But yeah, Verse was not. Verse was still on the board when the Bears took Rome. Murdoch, he was.
yeah, and they're paying for that now. And I haven't the verdicts. I'm not giving up on Roma Dunze, but Ryan Poles. This is another thing is that I find I'm just trying to analyze the way Ryan Poles has worked since he's been the general manager of this football team, and he hasn't. eh, He works from the outside in. He's done this his whole career. I don't know that drafting anybody on the trenches on the defensive side or offensive side of the football is going to be his priority. This guy seems to want receivers, DBs. That's what he's prioritized when it comes to the positions he's taking in high rounds. And a wide receiver, a cornerback, Dustin, would not surprise me at all the way this guy is operated.
Yeah, Uh, I think we just got to be open to anything as a possibility. And the other thing that we haven't even talked about is the trade back. We've brought it up many times before. This is prime trade back spot for Ryan Poles. So grab
Yeah,
some more
absolutely.
draft picks, move back into that second round. Because if he's looking at from picks 25 to 60, I don't have much of a drop off between 25 and 59. Like, you know what I'm saying? If he's looking at that, like you talked about earlier, where there's just not much of a difference between this guy at 25 and this guy at 59, why not grab some more draft capital and just move back and then go best player available. Maybe get another third round pick. Maybe get some more of these mid round picks where these guys
or
are all kind of lumped together.
and I think Poles would
That's a
take
very Poles thing to do.
a second and a fourth. I think he would take for that 25th pick, as long as, and usually, guys, when you see this, where the you take a late first round pick and you trade into the second, you're usually trading with a team that has, just by by just because of circumstance, Dustin, it's usually a high second round pick because it's a team who specifically wants a player at that 25th
Like
spot, right?
someone trying to get back in the draft,
Yeah,
Ty Simpson, the
somebody who's
quarterback
at
out of Alabama.
38,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
wants that 25th spot because there's a guy they think's not going to make it to them, even though they're only 10 picks away from picking again. So I think if Ryan Poles did that and he went from 25 to 35th, I wouldn't hold that against Ryan Poles if he got another pick out of it. Another
Yeah, no.
fourth rounder where you're seeing a guy like who I like, man, and I know him, like people don't like this guy because of his age, but you see a guy like Bud Clark there in the fourth. If you got a second and a fourth for your 25th,
Or if you got back into the second and you were a little higher up and Malachi Lawrence is right there.
yeah,
Like there's
Derek Moore, some
there's a
names,
lot
man.
of there's a lot of options here, and I mean the, it's just going to really come down to how it plays out on that day. And I think that's really what we're looking to as Bears fans in terms of finishing out this roster, because it doesn't look like much more of impact or significance is going to happen in free agency. I don't. There's not much more out there, and the Bears don't really have any money. They
Yeah,
need
no,
to
the
save their
one,
money for these draft picks.
you follow the rumors, and really these rumors are just created out of fan base hope. So now the name, you see Hendrickson gone, you see Crosby's decided to stay, and the one name that I just
Well,
keep
he
seeing
didn't
that,
decide to stay. He just kind of
well,
got
right,
sent
yeah,
back.
he made a post saying he wants to be there because nothing else worked, but Cam Jordan is the only thing I'm seeing that's left.
You know what? I like that, and AJ Epinesa. I don't know if he's signed with anyone yet. Last I
I
saw
don't
he was
believe so.
still available.
No.
I kind of like him a little more than Cam Jordan, honestly. Like there's some like he's gonna go bargain bin hunting, like how I used to go for those $5 DVDs in the bin at Best Buy. Like that's what Poles is. That's what Poles is doing. I
Hey, I've
still got
gotten
to
some quality movies.
I have to. I still have this huge DVD collection. Am I the only one that has a huge DVD and Blu-ray collection of
I've
shit
probably
that
got about 50.
they never? I got way more than that, and I don't want to
I
get rid of
gave a
them.
bunch to Goodwill.
Uh, you know, there's something about owning it and having it in a world where everything is just like in the cloud. You know what I'm saying? Like like what if some shit goes down and like all the streaming services go away? Like, but at the same time, like I spend a lot of time and money investing into those things, and like they mean something to me, and like. But now, like my daughter just crawls around like in front. They're at the entertainment center, and she'll just start pulling them out and playing with them, and it just makes a giant mess. So it's like, do I gotta get rid of these fucking things? I don't want to.
Just
I'm
building a
holding on to
fort
them.
out of DVDs. Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think that Poles is done in free agency, but I think he's done making an impact in free agency. And I hate to say that, guys, because I'm not trying to discard any football player in the NFL who's worked as hard as they have to get there, but these guys that are remaining, you're not looking. The Sanborn thing kind of bothered me, Dustin. I'm not throwing shade here. I know Sean and Kyle went over the impact Sanborn might make on this defense, but I just don't see him playing on
there's
this
not gonna
defense.
be an impact that.
I just don't
Listen,
see him
I don't
playing
know
too much.
how often do you see the Bears using three linebackers in the first place, and could you see Sanborn being one of those three when he's just doesn't have the speed to keep
Unless
up with
Sean's correct and
off?
Edwards is cut, which I think it would be strange for them to do
You
that.
would not cut Edwards because the
No,
amount of money that it's going to cost you to cut him
yeah.
is not worth it.
Well, and it'd be strange for them to do it now or at any point in the future. If that was your plan, if you intended on that and you signed Sanborn to give yourself the flexibility to do so, I think you would have already done it.
I want to do Mind of Murdoch the service of clarifying what he was saying. He says, I was saying that they were banking on the offseason pickup, so missing verse was kind of okay at the time, but I'm happy Caleb got to have a target to grow with instead. And yeah, I think Rome is still coming into his own, and he's gonna be a damn good receiver in the NFL. I don't have doubts on that. Like I still like Rome. It's just, and I get what you're saying. Like they had already made moves in that off season leading into it that kind of suggested that they needed to go offense first, but I don't know if there's if it's even showing right now that Rome is a better player than Verse. I don't know if that's even showing. I mean, I I just think having a guy that can put that kind of pressure on the quarterback is invaluable, and you're seeing that you don't have enough of it, and it's our biggest concern right now. Now that you shipped off DJ Moore, does that change the calculus with Roma Dunze in this upcoming season? And do you see a shift there? I guess it's possible.
I
Yeah, like
think
you said, he's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense last year, and it seems like they're consolidating that obviously by trading DJ Moore. So
and you didn't have Colston Loveland, so Roma Dunze was at some point your intended number one target on this football team. But what sucks, man, is you drafted the right quarterback, and the quarterback, to me, already looks to be a multiplier. And like he made, a guy like Jade Walker look like a pretty competent NFL player, Caleb. And he made, even though Oz couldn't catch the ball, Caleb was giving him the ball when it mattered. And
yeah, right on his
he
fucking
can't
hands,
he
his
can't
brick ass
mul
hands.
he can't multiply the defensive line. So
No, yeah,
these are standalone talents you've got to be able to identify in the draft when it comes to the defensive side of the football. Because there will be a point, guys, where Caleb gets such a big contract, you're not going to have stud receivers at all three positions. You're going to rely on Caleb to help these players develop into better pros. But the defensive side of the football
you
is
don't
just,
have that guy
yeah.
that make and it always comes back to that's probably a three tech that that crushes that pocket. That's probably what that.
And so we can talk about verse just as much as we talk about the passing on Jalen Carter. And I, you know, and I hate to say this because he did play really good football this last season, and I beat him up over the offseason prior to the 2025 season, but he kind of paid Montez Sweat like he was a multiplier.
Yeah, well,
And,
that's what they convinced themselves that he was when they traded for him, and
and he's just not. He's a
he
good
had
football
what
player.
10 sacks this past year, and I think that was like a third of the sacks that the Bears actually had as a team, right? Like he needs some help. He needs some help. I mean, if he can continue to come into his own within this Dennis Allen defense, and Austin Booker steps up, I we've said this before. Like we feel pretty good about our defensive ends if you really just look at just Sweat Booker, but you need the rotation. What the Bears don't have is that pass rush specialist that they can just throw out there on obvious passing downs, and a guy that's gonna just focus on going and get the quarterback. And I think you got to come out of this draft with that guy, Brandon. That's why I like a Malachi Lawrence, and it's mentioned in the chat here that he's gonna have to be coached up. He's raw, but he's a physical fucking freak. And like the Bears need more of those guys and you need a guy that you can just turn loose on the quarterback. And you needed that last offseason, and instead you went and got Dio. Like I it's as if the Bears spent that offseason trying to figure out how to stop the run, and they failed miserably at it. So now they can't get after the quarterback or stop the run. And now you got to fix all of that in this offseason when you're already cash strapped. It, again, this concern is not going away from you guys. You look at how bad that defense was last year. You look at what their options are to fix it, and you look at what they let walk away, and it's not adding up yet. I'm really
Yeah,
interested to
and
see what they end up doing here going forward. But I'm not just okay with saying, well, Brisker could go, Nashawn Wright could go, Kevin Byard could go, and we're going to be all right when you haven't really brought in their replacements yet, and we don't know what this is going to look like.
and it worked poorly on, if you look at the timeline of when the Bears found it necessary to start addressing these things. And I don't like, I've never been a big advocate of going after pass rush through free agency. I really don't love that. You know, there's those big
You
targets out there.
overpay, you end up overpaying every fucking
Yeah,
time.
yeah, and you're now looking at it where it's like, okay, we're going to try to resolve this problem in the draft. We're not. They didn't sign any pass rushers in free agency. They signed Gallimore, who, you know, is capable, but he's not a guy who's going to change this defense, the dynamic of it all. And now you're like, okay, now we're in a position where we have to get some pass rush in this draft, and it just so happens to be the first draft in 4 years, guys, where you're picking way outside of blue chip talent. And that's where those guys that Dustin's talking about, those guys you throw out there when you know the opposing team's going to pass the ball, those guys go in the top 10. Those guys that just eat up quarterbacks and eat up left tackles, man. They're just not typically there where you're picking.
Mind of
That's
Murdoch just said something that I think is really, really
what's
a
up, Mind
important
Murdoch. I
statement.
can't see who's in the chat, guys, but for everybody's out there, I'm sorry for joining late. I
He
did
said
fall asleep. I appreciate you guys being here tonight.
he says we need people that can just tackle. Period. Like tackling was a big issue last year
Yeah,
in
and
terms of
Bryant's a really solid tackler.
missed tackles, man. Just and I couldn't agree with you more. Just the fundamentals, the basics, just like just tackle, just get the guy on the ground. And I mean, it becomes harder to tackle when a guy's running with a full head of steam at you and got past your initial, front seven with no issue, or got past your front four with no issue. You're not getting a hand put on him until he's already got 5 yards,
Yeah,
that
or
he
even
put
when you
behind him.
did the game the Bears lost to the Packers,
What's up,
Josh
Jed?
they had Jacobs wrapped up in the backfield with like three players, and the guy just
Yeah,
shat
that's the
them all.
game. That Packers game is the game that stands out to you the most in terms of like just poor tackling.
Yeah, just poor
It,
fundamentals.
mhm.
Yeah, and then I think the Bears ended up winning this game, but even the game where the Packers scored late because Matthew Golden took that like 12-yard reception in the end zone, they had him wrapped up. And that was the first time I was like, man, that's the Matthew Golden the Packers were hoping they drafted. But it was more just lack of fundamentals on the
Yeah, he
Bears
shouldn't have
side
gotten
of the
the end zone
football.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon, do you want to do a mock? Do you after all this talk? I mean, is there anything? We didn't really come here with much to talk about. We really wanted to rely on the chat to kind
Yeah,
of. We
I
wanted
was
you
gonna
guys.
say that, man.
It was,
It's
like
like,
our whole plan was like let you guys kind of dictate where this goes, and I've been trying, man. But of course, the one night that we come in here with that thought process, the chat is not showing
well, how
up.
about this? We do that again next week, man. We just let the chat kind of because there's not gonna be
Well,
much
next week
news.
I'm in Florida. I'm not going to
Oh,
be here. So the week after, maybe there's some more news out, some more shit to talk about. I guess the moral of the story is up to this point for me is I got major concerns with this defense and what their plan is this year, and they haven't really done anything to alleviate that yet. That's just where I'm at, and I don't know how much faith I have in Ryan Poles to draft, impact defensive players because he hasn't really done it as a GM yet. And I don't know. I don't have as much faith in Dennis Allen to be the defense whisperer in Ryan Poles' ear as I do Ben Johnson to be the guy that knows what he needs in his offense to make it home. That's where I'm at. I don't. That's not changing anytime soon.
yeah, because getting faster at some positions like Gallimore
What's
is,
up, Flex?
like Devin Bush is, like DeMarco Jackson is. Getting faster doesn't change the things this defense is lacking in regards to getting after the quarterback. It does because Montez Sweat and Austin Booker are pretty fast players at the edge, and it's not like the tackles that they have on this team. It's not like their biggest glaring con is their speed. So I don't know that Dennis Allen's vision of speed, because that's to me that seems to be the one thing that Dennis Allen and Ryan Poles are really going after here. That doesn't fix your pass rush.
And it doesn't fix your run defense
You
either.
need winners, man, on that
Yeah,
defensive line.
you need man eaters up front.
Yeah, guys who
And
win, yeah, who
yeah,
win a winning rate, and they just don't have it on this roster.
listen, the Devin, we said it. I thought DeMarco Jackson completely changed his defense when he was in, and I think he's only going to get better. I think that's going to end up being a steal of a contract. I really do. And the Devin Bush signing
I agree.
was one of the best ones of free agency as far as I'm concerned. So I don't want to just be all doom and gloom. Devin Bush is a huge upgrade over Tremaine Edmonds. huge upgrade. And I think DeMarco Jackson is your starter next to him. I think TJ Edwards can, ride the pine. I'm fine with that. I like what they did at linebacker. I don't know if there's more to come with that, if they're drafting more guys or if they're still banking on Ruben Hippolyte. So like, and the Kobe Bryant signing, that's a good one too. I think that's a clear upgrade over Brisker for sure. I don't know about Byard, depending on what position Bryant ends up playing. I don't know, but there's been some good things, but it's just not enough when you were terrible against the run, terrible against the pass, terrible at getting after the quarterback. It's just not enough yet. So
No, and
I don't know.
I hate, I do this, and I don't think that like it's not a sexy thing to do by any means, man. But like, I don't to remove yourself from the bias you might hold being a Bears fan when you're trying to evaluate how your team looks going into a season. And obviously, we haven't had a draft yet, guys. But on paper, this defense is very bad. It just is. It is. On paper, it's a bad defense.
J2K just asked in the chat. He says, "So you don't like DA's defense?" No, no. I thought DA got a lot out of this defense, especially towards the end of the season. Like that last game against the Rams, like these motherfuckers were standing on their heads. D and Dennis Allen dealt with a lot of injuries, obviously through last season that he he had to overcome, and that was impressive. It was. I like Dennis Allen as a defensive coordinator. I really do. I didn't like him as a head coach. I didn't think he should have been a head coach the first time or the second time. But I mean, when it comes to this roster, just the actual just talent on it, I don't know if it's enough for DA's defense to be what we want it to be. I,
Well, and
it remains to be seen. But again, he did some impressive things last year in terms of overcoming the injuries and still getting these guys to show up and play, generating a lot of turnovers. But I think you got to have some more talent in some really big spots. And Jed says here, like it seems like it's gonna be a couple year thing. Like, can we fix this in one off season? I don't think so.
what and the I thought the defense J2K was kind of a reflection of the players they had on the roster. They did almost statistically exactly what each player represented on this team because you had a bunch of playmakers, right, Dustin? Nashawn Wright, CJ Gardner Johnson, Tremaine Edmonds, a bunch of guys who can make a play on the ball, but aren't very good at their play to play job. And I would much rather have guys who are fundamentally sound at their positions where you're not one of the worst teams in the league at rushing yards allowed per game and passing yards allowed per game. I'd much rather see the turnover rate come down a little bit if that means that you're, ranking a lot higher in the league at yards per game allowed. You've got all these guys that can ball hawk but can't do their fucking job. Nashawn Wright had one of the highest turnover rates in the league, but he was one of the worst cover corners statistically by all measures, by all rankings, by all sources. One of the worst corners in the league. Same with CJ Gardner Johnson. Tremaine Edmonds, the same as well. So, yeah, you got what those guys provide. You got what those guys are kind of infamous for. They take the ball away, but you also got the other side of it. They don't do their
You give up big
jobs
plays. You give up big
simply. Yeah.
plays. You're out of position.
You're
Yeah,
constantly giving up the most rushing yards, most passing yards per game, but you're taking the ball away. And I do believe that did fail at the end. Because when you play playoff caliber football teams with playoff caliber quarterbacks, you're just not going to take the ball away like that, man.
yeah. But in that last game, the Bears defense really did. They got off the field.
Yeah,
They got some
Brisker
stops.
Brisker
It
played
was
some fucking monster football.
it was that was an impressive game. It was a good way to end the season for Dennis Allen and his defense. Now, I mean, again, I just think that they need some better players in certain spots for Dennis Allen's defense to work. I think you need a real nose tackle on this team, and I I don't
Well,
know if you're going
what,
to get it in this
Dustin,
draft.
let me ask you this. If the turnover numbers were the same next year, Bears leading the league by a strong headway, but the yards allowed were the same. Would you prefer that over the Bears being better ranked in yards allowed and the turnover numbers coming down?
It just comes down to how many possessions are you going to get Caleb Williams a game. To me,
So you're
uh,
still thinking the offense just needs to win these football games?
yeah, I think the offense is going to have to carry you, but like if you get off the field as a defense on the 3 and out or a turnover, I don't think it makes a difference.
Yeah, the 3 and out numbers were atrocious.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can improve that and the turnovers come down, then that's okay. I just want to get the ball back in Caleb Williams' hands to go score some points and with the best field position possible. So I mean, like, it, I don't know, man. I'm kind of at a loss with the defense. I don't know what it's going to look like, and I'm just concerned. Is all. I guess that's. I just got to
Yeah,
see
and then
more.
and
I got
then
to see more of what they do here.
the one thing I do believe safety's the priority. I do. I think that's at the top of their list. Obviously not on the player board, but on the position board, safety's number one. I could almost guarantee it because the way that Ryan Poles has built this team, the way he's manufactured it. Um, but I do believe it starts in the interior defensive line. The same as it start, guys. On the offensive side of football, the offensive side of football works the same way as the defensive side of football. You saw the impact it made when we fixed the interior offensive line last season. Everything got better. Quarterback got better, in turn made receiver better. Running back got better because the gaps were there. The interior defensive line, and I'm excluding the edge, I mean those two guys in the middle, will make the safeties playing back there better. They'll make the corners on the outside better. They'll make the linebackers behind them better, and they'll make the guys on the edge better when there's no pocket to step into. So if the Bears can hit on tackle in this draft, you have a little faith that the defense can be fixed.
I mean, J2K says that Da is not going to use a nose tackle. That he doesn't. I mean, he's disagreeing with us there. I mean, I
It's
don't know. I
awfully
think
it's awfully tough to rush four men when not a guy on the line can take two blocks.
what it comes down to for me, man, is like, is your scheme more important than the player? Like, if you get a player that's really good at this thing, do you build your scheme around them, or do you only want players to plug into your scheme? I've always been of the opinion that if you get some stud players, your scheme could change.
Yeah,
Good
you alter
coaches,
your scheme.
good
Yeah.
coaches would change their scheme in order to build around those players that can do perform those roles. But
Well, and um,
if Da is the guy that we're trusting to lead us into this, then I mean, I guess that's just what it is, and we got to have faith until we're proven otherwise. But I mean, it wasn't a good start. Obviously he didn't have the pieces, so he's going to get his opportunity. I think they will do their best in this draft to give him some pieces for that defense, and we'll see how it plays out. True Pilgrim
what
says he has faith in these guys to get it done.
I,
I don't feel as strongly about that, True, as you do. I don't.
and I think, and I know I'm on record saying this a lot, guys. I'm probably getting tired of hearing it, but when the battle up front will always be 4 versus 5, and you want, as far as Dustin and I are concerned, the difference in a good NFL defense is the ability to rush four. And if you don't got a guy that consumes 2 blocks, you will always put yourself in a position to have to blitz because you're just leaving yourself at a disadvantage strictly based on numbers, right, Dustin? One of those guys needs to take the attention of two. That's just how a 4-man rush works. One guy has got to consume two people on the offensive line. If you're not getting that from somebody, you're using a nickel or a linebacker or a strong side safety to blitz. You're putting
Well,
yourself in that position.
unless you're doing unless you're being successful with the stunts, as J2K is pointing out here, he says stunts, the twist, crash down, like create disruption in that way. If you confuse the offensive line and gain an advantage in that way, it it remains to be seen, man. I mean, we just didn't see it last year. Those things they didn't work with the personnel that we that we had, and I don't know if it's going to work with the personnel we currently have. You have to
And
add
I don't
some impact players, along that defensive front. I don't think Neville Gallimore is that. I
know, and
don't.
I don't,
I don't think Javon Dexter has shown himself to be that. I don't think Grady Jarrett has shown himself to be that.
And
I
the
don't.
5 tech, so like I guess what you're referring to, JT, is like we'll see. You Tennessee, okay. Tennessee had Sweat and Simmons in the middle, and they just added Franklin Myers,
Well,
who's
they
just
traded Sweat
okay. So they don't
for
have Sweat
Jermaine
anymore.
Johnson. Yeah.
So you've pretty much got three techs up front now, and Franklin Myers and Simmons. And I'd love to see what kind of impact that makes on that line. Does they're obviously going to be able to get after the quarterback, but I think they're going to be missing a lot. I do. I think
Well,
teams are
got a
going to be.
cat and heat outside my window. The fuck? Did you hear
Oh,
that?
that's the most annoying shit, dude. I think teams are going to be able to run on that football team because you just don't have that body, and the Bears haven't had it the time that Ryan Billings had a good season, but he still wasn't, to me, one of the better players at it in the league. And I agree, J2K, you don't have to strictly define a guy as one tech and only that, but you need a guy who can be big enough and strong enough to take some attention from a guard and a center. Because, and I mentioned this a week ago, Dustin, how good is Javon Dexter? Do we know how good Javon Dexter's? If
I
if
think Javon Dexter might just be what he is, man. I think
but if
that's
the
just
center,
what we've seen from
because
him.
Javon
This is what
Dexter's
it is.
lining up across the guard, usually the left guard, and if the center thinks before the ball is snapped, do I got to worry about Chris Williams over here, or should I help with Javon Dexter? What's the center doing every time?
Well, he's gonna go to Javon.
So
Yeah.
when you don't have a nose tackle that can draw that guy's attention, the guy who gets to choose who he helps, when you don't have a nose tackle that can draw the center to him, Dexter's fucked. No matter how good or bad he is, he's fucked. So that's killing the Bears, man. It's killing it breaks down the whole dynamic of the defensive line and how it works. How
Well, yeah, and
long.
I mean, if you want to say that DA doesn't blitz J2K, then I think that this just becomes more pertinent that you need some impact players on that defensive line that can win
He's
one on
always
one and beat two guys. You
I think he's
you
always been
need
ranked
some guys.
14th to 18th. As a defensive coordinator, I believe he's been ranked 14th to 18th in blitz percentage in the NFL. So he
I,
doesn't do it
I'm
a
not aware of the
bunch,
stats. I mean,
and
J2K
he
is saying
doesn't.
he's one of the least blitzing defensive coordinators in the
I
NFL.
think it's
He
New
didn't.
Orleans, man. I never saw him go lower than 18.
I don't know. All I'm saying is like if you don't want to blitz, then you need a really strong four-man rush, and the Bears don't have that. So regardless, like whatever guys you identify that you think you want, it just needs to work. You need some studs on this defensive line that can get after the quarterback without the necessity of the blitz because you need to be back there in coverage. When DA's defense was taking, when they did take chances, when they did blitz, they got carved the fuck up. That's all
Oh,
I know.
that was
That's all. That did not work when they did
no.
blitz. I
Jordan
don't know
Love
how. I don't know if it was how
destroyed
what the
them.
amount was. I haven't looked into those numbers, but I know every time I saw them blitz, it rarely fucking worked out for the Chicago Bears. So I don't want them to have to do that. I want some studs along this defensive line, whatever position, whatever they're going to do to get some pressure on that quarterback with the front four, because that's how you win games in the NFL. And I think that's what DA needs. So hopefully they identify the guys that can do that in this draft and they add them to this roster and coach them the
Yeah,
fuck up
and
because this
that's
defense needs to get better. That's it.
and I'm. We'll see this. We'll talk about this in 10 years from now, Dustin. But I think that's a dying method, guys. The more mobile quarterbacks become, the less effective the blitz is. You've got quarterbacks now that are always going to be able to buy themselves a little bit of time to find the guy that's open. So when you're blitzing these guys, I'm not even talking about running quarterbacks, Dustin. I'm talking about mobile quarterbacks. You blitz a guy like Jordan Love, who can move and buy himself just a few extra seconds. He's going to find the guy
Well,
that's
guys who
open.
get rid of the ball quick, guys who are
Right?
smart at
Yeah,
processing
Tom
pre-snap,
Brady was
you
a
know, yeah,
magician at this,
guys who can
carving up.
maneuver the pocket without getting outside of it.
And
I mean,
receiving backs now
yeah.
make a big difference too against the blitz. Receiving backs, guys who can catch the ball just as well as
Brandon,
the wide receivers.
let's just get into this mock and get the hell out of here. Let's do one and just
Yeah,
and
but
call it a night. Yeah,
you're gonna be able to do that and see the chat.
I got the chat right here on YouTube. Like that,
What do you get
it's gonna make it.
get your phone on YouTube?
Yeah, yeah. Just like I'm just reading it from here.
Hey, come next week, I will have a computer. I got a computer, guys, so I'll be back to reading chats myself. So if I got to do a show next Thursday
If
by
they show
myself,
up,
if I got to do a show next Thursday by myself, I'll at least have the chat with me. That became possible again, so that's good.
all right. Can you see me?
Yeah,
What we got? What we got going on here? Okay, very good. We're gonna do this mock draft. Well, hold on. Lee Hunter is a dog. Scottish says that's the guy Ken wants. We'll see how this shakes out here, guys. We're gonna do this one quick. We're on turbo. Go 7 rounds. Go Chicago Bears, and we're just gonna go ahead and do it. Let's do it. Hey, look at that. Akeem Mesidor is right there, and so is Falk. Nice. Now, who was it? J2K not as high on Falk as me, and somebody else not as high, Brandon. But Falk to me is the pick. I'd be good with Akeem Mesidor. We can get our defensive end right here. What do you think? Other options are Blake Miller at left tackle, Caden Proctor at left tackle, Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle, TJ Parker,
I
Caleb
would.
Banks. His rank
I
is 32 now.
that foot, man. That's a serious problem.
Yeah.
Some of these injury scares they do with these players, like Downs. I think Downs will be okay. The same as Will Johnson was. Kyle pointed out the same injury to Will Johnson was reported right before the draft. That kid ended up being a really good football player in the NFL, man. I think it's Proctor or Falk to me.
So
I think
You go Falk over Mesidor.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah, I
think
think
either
I
one
do
of them.
too.
I think either one of them's a good player. I do, but yeah, I mean, Mesidor had a lot of help. If you look at who Mesidor was playing alongside, that might have
Listen,
impacted how good
we've
he
done the
looked.
Kate we've done the Caden McDonald thing. So like I'm good to go with Falk here. Personally for me, if Falk falls to 25, I'm drafting him. That's where I'm at. I think he is the guy that I think will be the the best true edge 4-3 defensive end in this draft. You guys can disagree with me. He's the guy that I would like for the Bears to end up with. So if he falls to 25, that's what I'm hoping they do. And who's this? Chris Foster saying defensive tackle over edge. No, I feel you, man. We've done the drafts where we've taken 2 defensive tackles with our first 2 picks. I think we want to try something different this time. We're gonna go with Falk, Brandon. Okay?
Yeah, we've never drafted Falk.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Here's where shit gets real. We're at 57. Stovers is the best guy available here, the tight end out of Vanderbilt. Jennings Dunker, Chris Brazell. We got Stooks there, the cornerback out of Arizona. I like him. Joshua Joseph's edge. Skylar Bell, wide receiver out of Connecticut. There's Derek Moore. There's Danny Dennis Sutton. We just took edge though. What about? I mean, Halton is it's a bit of a reach here. I like Grayson Halton. I know J2K likes him. Uh,
Who's left at safety?
yeah, I'm getting that question in the chat as well. Let's check it out. Ramsey, Smith, Wheatley. We got Bud Clark there as well, and Michael
And
Taft.
Bloodcark will be there for a bit. I think Bud Clark will be there in your maybe with your third round pick even.
Minda Murdoch is saying look center. So let's check center out real quick. Connor Liu, Sam Hecht.
Hecht was mocked to the Bears on that CBS mock draft in the second at this pick.
And now Chris Foster's asking to check out on cornerbacks. We got, as I said, Stooks, who I like, Davison Igbinosun, and then Chandler Rivers, Devin Moore. I like Rivers and Moore. I do.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of
What
tape on Devin Moore. Devin Moore is a little raw, but I think he's going to be a good NFL product.
what about defensive tackles? It's Halton, it's Orange, it's Daryl Jackson, Dante Corleone. Caleb Proctor is climbing up boards.
He should be.
And Landon Robinson is too. We got him in the seventh round in the last one we did together. Okay, Chris Foster says Stooks is a better version of Stevenson.
Man, you're not gonna like what I have to say, and the chat won't. I would
Regarding
take
what?
Derek Moore. And I know we just drafted an edge, but that kid's you just talked about Dustin, a pure edge rusher, just an edge rusher. That's what he is.
I might like Danny Dennis Sutton better than I like Derek Moore, to be honest.
Moore is just a bull rusher. Moore is a Miles Garrett type rusher. Not obviously not the talents, but the way that he rushes the pass. It's more just run fucking through you than finesse and hands. But he's not a run defender. He's not known for that.
What about the left tackle?
More is falling to me in this draft irresponsibly.
You think so?
Yeah, like I mean, he
Jed wants
just
more D line. Chris Foster wants more D line. I love Jake Golday. Is he still there? I would imagine he's gone. He went one pick before us, actually. There, Minda Murdoch. He went 56 to the Jaguars. I mean, he says Derek Moore with the next pick.
yeah. I
So,
was just gonna say you're gonna have more still available in 3 picks from now.
so then what you guys is let's plan this out. If we go defensive tackle right now, I mean, we go more on the next pick. Where are we getting our safety? Are we getting
You're
Wheatley
hoping
with the 89th pick?
You're hoping Bud Clark's in the fourth or the third. Sorry.
Yeah, Ken, I'm not saying his fucking name. I'm not gonna say Chris Foster's actual handle there. So yeah, I know who he is. Romello Height late can help D line. Okay, line the Murdoch. Again, trying to plan this out. If we go defensive line right now, and then if we go defensive tackle, and then we go defensive edge with more. You said we're hoping for Bud Clark. I would rather have Wheatley personally. Hopefully, he's there at 89, or even Genesis Smith.
I don't think Wheatley will be. Clark is falling because the guy is 25 years old, man.
Yeah,
Which might actually
Wheatley
happen.
might be there.
Which much might happen in the real draft. Bud Clark might be available to the Bears in the fourth round. And if that's the case, listen, the guy might not last a long time in the NFL, but he's a starter. Bud Clark's a starter.
All right, what do you think, man? Do you want to go? The best defensive tackle available is Grayson Halton. I mean, other than that, best player available according to this is a tight end. Then we got Jennings Dunker, who's probably going to be a guard in the NFL. I don't know that the Bears need that. Stooks, we just spent a lot of time talking about cornerback being an issue. I think Stooks could be a good answer. That's what Chris Foster wants to do. He wants Stooks. And then we got Bryce Lance, who we both really like, sitting here.
Yeah, and Bryce Lance won't make it past the Bears' next pick.
They're saying his average draft position is 91.8. It's interesting.
In these mocks, he doesn't make it out of the second round.
Well, his rank on here is 62.
Yeah.
Nothing really stands out to me, man. So I mean,
Yeah, I don't love the tackles, unfortunately, man.
I like Halton. I do.
I don't know much about him.
I mean, but we can go Caleb Proctor a little later. We could go safety right now, but if you want Derek Moore, we can do that as well.
Well, Moore I think is going to be
I
available.
like Zane Durant as well. Zane Durant, his average draft position is 192.
Zane Durant, the combine really helped that kid.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, those kids are both good players, man.
Well, let's make a pick here. What are you thinking? You want to do Derek Moore right now?
No, if you like, what's the DT's name? Holden.
Grayson Halton.
Yeah, if you've done a little more homework on these guys than I have, man. Grayson Holden's not.
I'm kind of just wanting to do Chris Brazell or Bryce Lance. Just get the wide receiver.
Bryce Lance will not make it out of the second round. So if we don't take him, and with one of these next two picks, you're not going to get him.
Get Ben Johnson another weapon there.
The thing he's never had. Isn't the kid like 6'4"? It's a big kid.
6'3", 209.
That's a big kid.
And then Chris Brazil, 6'5", 200.
That's a big kid. He's a
Yeah.
skinny kid, but he's a big kid.
Well, Mind the Murdoch likes Chris Brazil. I really don't fucking know. This is
Let's
really.
throw this to the chat, guys. However many names we get out of the next 10 chats.
I prefer Danny Dennis Sutton over Derek Moore, but if you want to go Derek Moore, we can go edge. I don't give a shit. Stukes, I think, stays at cornerback, and I think could work.
You're gonna get a bad grade after the draft if you take more here, but I don't see it's because the kid he played all 4 years and then only had 1 year that he really turned it up, man. But
All right, the only one that's giving me anything is Chris Foster. He's saying Stukes, so let's just go Stukes.
okay, taking a corner.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hopefully this is a starter.
We're doing it. And then Halton went right away. Halton is gone. Pick 59. Yeah, we should have
Now
done
you
that.
got Sutton or Moore.
Now we're going Derek Moore because that's what you guys want.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
I don't see why he's falling so much, man.
Jake Slaughter is still there. Average draft position 89, rank 90. Let's see what we got for safety. Genesis Smith and Wheatley are both still there.
And Bud Clark. I think you got to take one of those guys, doesn't it?
Oh, Mind the Murdoch said Sutton over Moore for sure. Listen, I like Danny Dennis Sutton a lot more than Moore. I do, and that would have been my pick, but we've drafted him before. I wanted to give Brandon
we drafted
Derek
him a
Moore.
bunch.
Yeah, Kyle Lewis went right before this pick.
I think
that sucks.
Genesis Smith, I think, is the kid that J2K said is not. He's fool's gold. He can't tackle or something like that. I think he had an 18% missed tackle rate.
Now here's a guy. There's no pros, no cons. Genesis Smith. Okay, thanks. I like Wheatley.
Yeah, I'd probably Wheatley. Bud Clark might be available in the third, but you're taking a chance.
Well, the fourth. We're in the third right now.
Or sorry, the fourth. Yeah.
J2K loves Genesis Smith.
Somebody was beating him up, man. Maybe it was Kyle.
Yeah, I think we
drafted him. We drafted him on Monday, but somebody was beating him up.
Okay, so what are we doing?
I like Wheatley. I think we got to go safe. These are, I think Genesis Smith, Wheatley, and Bud Clark are all pretty quality players.
True Pilgrim says Stukes is going to be our safety.
If he's a Tyreek Stevenson type player, I could see it. But if he's a man guy, I don't think you want to do that.
Do we want to take our center right here? Do we want to take Slaughter?
I don't know. Is Slaughter a starter day one?
No, I think Bradbury is your starter. I don't think we're drafting a starter. I think we're drafting a guy to be the. And then J2K agrees with True Pilgrim that Stukes is going to be our safety.
Okay, so I guess we found our answer at safety. I don't know much about Stukes, man.
I think he could stay at the cornerback position, but I mean, the guys with versatility, this defense will utilize. They like it, so
the tweeners.
I mean, yep. All right. So best available is again another tight end, and then Slaughter is right there, and then defensive tackle. I don't know how much is left there. Let's see.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to get Robinson.
We still got Caleb Proctor right there.
I'd go Proctor here, man. That dude's an animal.
Big reach. He is. And Dante Corleone is too. But there's not much more after that. Zane Durant is still there. So if we're going to get our defensive tackle, I think we got to do it here.
I like Durant too. I do.
Hecht is gone. Yes, Hecht is gone, guys. Zane Durant is still there. I like Zane.
Heck might not even be available with the Bears' second pick. The last pick, the draft we did, the Packers took hacked before the Bears before our second pick in the draft.
I'm down to go Caleb Proctor here. I think we got to get a defensive tackle, man.
Yeah,
All right, let's do it.
that kid's an animal, man. He really is. So we've just made this a defensive line draft.
Takario Davis, Tyreek Sapp. Nice. I like Tyreek Sapp. Oh man, things went crazy here a little bit. Dame Tucker is still there. Safety wise, I don't think Bud Clark made it to us. He's gone.
He's a really good football player, man. He's just old. I don't really care about that too much, the age thing.
And Murdoch and J2K are talking up VJ Payne. We've heard him bring him up before. I like Bishop Fitzgerald, guys. I think that's a sneaky safety pick. I would not be upset if the Bears got him in the 6th round, or they don't have a 6th round pick, do they? 7th round. I would not be upset. And Minor Murdoch likes Jason Kilgore as well. I mean, right now it's saying center is our biggest need in D line.
We've pretty much drafted every.
Centers are gone. Pat Coogan is the next one available.
We've drafted to defensive line this entire draft.
Let's see here.
Definitely out on offense here. No left tackles, no wide receivers, no running backs worth looking at.
Zane Durant is still there. We could do that, but I mean that's a lot to put into your defensive tackles, ain't it? What do you guys think in the chat with what's available?
I don't know, Dustin, because you're probably Grady, Jared, Dio, and who's the last player? There's 3 players projected to be cut next offseason on the defensive.
TJ Edwards.
Maybe it was Edwards.
Oh, on the defensive line?
Yeah.
I know you're waiting on Dale and Jarrett till next year to move on.
Yeah.
You know? I'll say I really like Tyreek Sapp.
I'm cool with whoever here, man. 7th round pick.
It's not the 7th round pick. This is the 4th round pick.
4th, sorry. We're not doing this all that quickly.
No, we're not. We are not at all. It gets so hard. Like you. What about Torian York, guys? Romello Height? No. Wide receiver? We're asking about. Who's that wide receiver for us? Hey, Eric McAllister, Jacoby Lane, Cyrus Allen, Caleb Douglas, Kevin Coleman, Josh Cameron. I like Jeff Caldwell. True Pilgrim says Takario Davis. I think I'm with that actually. Let's do that. Because if we actually did draft Stooks to be our safety, as these guys say, we still need that cornerback depth. So I mean, Takario Davis is the best player on the board. For me, it would be Davis or Sapp. So we'll just go Takario. You want to go Takario Davis?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Whole lot of automating.
All right, so now we're into the 7th round, Brandon. So now we can not care. Jalen Daniels is there. What do you guys see here? Vincent Anthony Jr., man.
I knew he'd be here. We drafted the edge, but I'd still take this kid.
Well, Murdoch, you guys are telling us that Stooks is. We're being told that Stooks is our safety, so we're kind of operating under that premise that we're moving Stooks to safety. He's going to be a starting safety for us. We drafted Takario Davis to be the cornerback. Vincent Anthony is Brandon's guy here.
If they take him in the 7th round, they won't regret it, man. There's just that kid has.
All right, let's do it.
Unbelievable motor.
Let's do it. We're doing Vincent Anthony. I don't know how. I don't like how this draft fell at all.
Our defensive line, though, I mean, you're going to hit on some of those kids.
I hope. Yeah, I think we drafted. I mean, getting Falk with the first pick, I like that a lot.
And like I said, he's going to get a bad grade, but Derek Moore, man, is
Mind of
that kid,
Murdoch really doesn't like our draft.
that kid you're talking about, that NASCAR package. I mean, he's going to get after the quarterback. That's what he's going to do.
Usually we get much better reactions from our drafts. This has been a bad one from the reaction I'm seeing.
I don't love it personally.
D line and secondary did get better, Chris Foster. They did. What
Yeah,
else are we doing here?
we addressed the defense.
Bishop Fitzgerald is gone. That sucks.
Is the kid Sean like still around? Robinson?
No, his ranking went way up, man. We got him in the 7th round a couple weeks ago when we did one. But
Good for Sean.
there's Cole Payton, the guy that the Bears met with.
Oh, the QB?
Yep. And then Minor Murdoch is throwing out Eric Gentry, linebacker out of USC. Oh fuck! You know what? I like Lander Barton, guys. So I appreciate the Eric Gentry sentiment, Minor Murdoch, but I'm going Lander Barton. This is the pick I'm making. I think that guy's gonna be a fucking steal. Keldrick Fogg was an A. Stooks was a C plus. Derek Moore was a B plus. Proctor was a C. Carlo Davis a B minus. Vincent Anthony Jr. a B plus, and Lander Barton they didn't like it. Overall draft grade a B plus.
Derek Moore and Vincent Anthony both got B plus. Hell yeah, dude. Those dudes are dogs, man.
We went heavy on the edge for sure. We drafted 3 edges, man. I think these guys might end up. If this were to happen, Falk and Derek Moore would get rotation right off the bat. Right off the bat.
And I think when you're talking about that NASCAR package, man, Vincent Anthony's actually a really quality run defender, dude. He really is. He sets the edge pretty immaculately. Like, he played against that Illinois team, man, which was ranked as one of the higher offensive lines in the nation, and he was just too much. He was just too much. He was all over the fucking field.
It's just the way the board fell, J2K. 3 defensive ends. It is what it is. Brandon, guys wanted Derek Moore. I wanted Falk. And I think Vincent Anthony was a steal in the 7th round.
He will be. In real life.
7 defensive ends on the roster. Because, yeah, we got Dio, Booker, Montez Sweat, Daniel Hardy. I don't think Hardy's a part of that rotation, though, if the draft falls this way. So, I mean, I guess by the logic that we went through, Stooks ends up being your safety.
When Anthony would play special teams if you took him in the 7th round.
Yeah.
And he's a good football player.
I like Caleb Proctor a lot. They didn't like the pick. I really like Lander Barton a lot. I don't know, man. It's an okay draft. They gave us a B plus, guys. Don't be too hard on us.
Well, we addressed the Bears' needs.
Yeah, I think so. We didn't get
You got a linebacker and you got a corner.
0 offense, as Chris Foster points out, Brandon. 0 offense.
And I think mock drafts aren't looking at Stooks moving to fucking safety. You know what I mean?
I don't think we really were either, but
they graded that as if the Bears just drafted a corner when it's not very high on their need list right now.
Bradbury's your center, J2K. He says, can Falk play center? The Bears aren't drafting a center in the 1st round. I understand you don't like Falk, but I think Falk is going to be a damn good player. I think that's the
personally
gem of the draft for sure.
I don't think the Bears are going to draft a center. I think they're going to wait till next year. They signed Bradbury with the intention of starting.
It's going to depend on how the board falls, Brandon.
And what they feel about Luke Newman.
I don't know.
Is Luke Newman good enough to play center?
Lukey
Newman.
Yeah, no, I think Newman is the backup center at the very least. He's gonna fill in for anybody along that interior, that offensive line, and I feel good about that. So I don't know. I think the Bears would be okay if that were the draft. We talked this whole show basically about being concerned about the defense. we certainly addressed some of those concerns with some of those picks, with all those picks. Proctor at the defensive line, Falk, Moore, at edge, get you some pass rush help. Got some more linebacker depth with Lander Barton. He's a guy that has
And
some speed and some size. I like him.
and we took Stooks when you had what Wheatley and Bud Clark. I mean, you still had some quality safeties.
Yeah,
Genesis.
Wheatley not coming away with like Genesis Smith or Wheatley. That not like a true safety for sure.
Yeah, I think the Bears would probably draft one of those guys versus moving a corner to a different position.
Yeah. It is what it is. That was our fucking 1:30 in the morning, like fucking no sleep for days mock draft. That's just what it is.
I've been up for like 24 hours, dude.
All right.
I am gassed.
All right. Well, let's get the fuck out of here then, huh?
It's time for bed.
Yeah, man. Guys, sorry the chats weren't working tonight. Truth says that if we take Falk, he's going to be disappointed.
We'll get that figured out. See what's going on with this StreamYard thing. Get you guys back on the screen.
Or maybe we won't. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm going to Florida. I'm flying out on Tuesday, so I'm going to be out all week, man. I plan to be here on Monday as long as some shit don't go down. I don't know if they're doing a Northside 9 this weekend, but if they do, you should check it out.
I would imagine so after that World Baseball Classic. They've probably got a lot to talk about.
Hey, it's been March Madness started up today. Some good shit going on.
Is I'm killing it. I'm killing it right
really?
now. Yeah.
Really?
I'm killing it, bro. Yeah.
I didn't do one.
I think there's 62 people in this. It's a work thing, and I think I'm in second right now with tied though with first. So
good shit, man.
Yeah.
I hope the best for you. Duke got scared. I was worried, and they ended up winning. I'm happy about that.
Wisconsin burned everybody, and I took TCU. So yeah, going well so far.
Okay, man. Well, good for you. I hope it works out for you. Listen, this has been the bare minimum. Not our best outing. I'm just gonna admit it right now, but it's okay. It is what it is.
It's a B plus.
I don't know about that. Maybe a B minus, C plus. I don't know.
Yeah.
Caleb,
we appreciate you guys, of course. Like you said, Dustin, we literally made the description of the show. We're gonna let the chat dictate the show. I'm like, no chat.
Pulling the chats from YouTube.
All
right, we love you guys. This has been fun. Bear the fuck down. Have a great weekend.
Bear down. Get some sleep, guys.
Enjoy spring break. Peace.